kids, I'm back for phase 2, what I started calling Operation Stripper. This is the piece that was blue and silver and white. I have stripped it down and gone through some like uber sticky stages. I mean, what a mess. But the whole objective was to see what was underneath here, to see if I could use some of the wood, because I really do like wood with painted surfaces when it's right for the piece. So as it turns out, what's under here is good wood, but it's not something that I feel like is going to be right for us in a refinished, completely refinished state, which isn't my job anyway. And to just leave it this version of Bear isn't quite right either, because as appealing as it may seem on camera or in photos, it's not quite the right kind of rustic in my opinion. So the next question was, what do I want to do with it? So I went around the studio for a little bit of inspiration, because I keep a lot of goodies in here, and my excuse for being a glorified hoarder is that these pieces are here for inspiration. There's something for me to work off of, because it's important to me that the finished piece look as true to actual weathered wood, aged patinaed wood as possible. So this guy has become my inspiration. I'm really kind of excited that he jumped out on the shelf. So this whole decrepit, agey thing is really exciting. So that's where I'm headed. So I'm gonna let you guys watch me work for just a few minutes. And what I'm gonna be using here is DIY's Dark and Decrepit, which I really, really like. It scared me a little at first because I'm a dark wax girl. This was one of the things that Debbie uses on top of pieces to give it that age and, you know, that darkened patina, and it functions a little differently than the wax I'm used to. But I do love it on top, but I'm finding even more that I like it underneath. So let me glove up here in my hot pink gloves. Here we go. And just because, you know, there are just scary levels of, I don't do manicures anymore that I try to hide when I'm working. But anyway, this is Dark and Decrepit. So it's not exactly a stain. It doesn't give it gives a different effect than stain. It's not as perfect. It's warmer. And I have tons and tons and tons of stains. So I've tried them all. I've tried all the weathering finishes, and there's some really good ones out there, don't get me wrong. But what I like about this is the depth and the warmth that it gives, either by itself or combined with, I like to use Little Black Dress by DIY. So I'm going to show you that next. But the key to using this for this particular effect is to work with it while it's still wet, and to make sure that the paint that you're using is watered down. So you wouldn't have to just do the Little Black Dress. You could do some color, which would be kind of neat, because, you know, a lot of times I come across pieces that have been sitting in a bar and it's been rubbed up against 1,000 times, and it's got hints of that color blended in, and that will be next on my let's give that a shot agenda. But for today, we're going to do just the Little Black Dress. Now, the other trick to this is working with your brush very, very wet, and just kind of lightly spot brushing it in all the way across, wherever you feel like it would have gotten, you know, where you would create some darkness and some depth. And again, sometimes I'm able to work with an inspiration piece, and this one's a particularly good one in that there's no consistency with this kind of thing. You know, it sits in a barn, it's going to get weathered how it's going to get weathered. There's no real pattern. So here's where you wipe it back a little bit and you start working in some of that depth. Now the drawer up here, as you can see, has dried a little bit, and I can tell by looking at it that I'm going to want to go back and put more depth in there, do several different layers. But this gives you just an idea of how I get started. Just working around the edges, giving it the color where it seems right, but brushing it back, because it's easier to add to than it is to take away. I mean, there are ways to take away, but this is the smarter way. Work it up in layers. So I am gonna keep playing with this for just a little bit, and I will shoot the next steps and update you ASAP. Thanks, you guys. Have a good rest of the day. I'll see you when you get here.